Since the full-scale invasion began, the world has watched Ukraine's incredible resilience. But beyond the daily headlines of advances and retreats lies a bigger question. What is Ukraine's long-term strategy for victory? Today, we're diving deep into a comprehensive analysis from the Royal United Services Institute, or RUSI, a leading UK defense think tank. They've outlined a potential multi-year game plan for how Ukraine could secure its future and achieve a decisive outcome by 2026. This isn't just about surviving. It's about building a stronger, more capable military that can dictate the terms of peace. So, what does this roadmap look like? It's not a single magic bullet, but a three-phased approach, each with its own specific goals. The first phase, which we're arguably in right now, is all about holding on. Ukraine's primary objective through 2024 is to weather the storm. Russia is pushing hard, trying to exploit its advantages in manpower and ammunition. For Ukraine, this year is about active defense, not just digging trenches, but conducting smart, tactical operations to wear down Russian forces, disrupt their logistics, and prevent any major breakthroughs. Think of it as a strategic rope-a-dope. Ukraine absorbs pressure, trades space for time when necessary, but all the while, it's buying precious time to prepare for the next more ambitious phase. This holding pattern is crucial because it sets the stage for everything that follows. While Ukraine's soldiers are holding the line, a massive effort is happening behind the scenes. This is where the international support, especially from the West, becomes absolutely critical. The RUSI report emphasizes that 2024 must be a year of industrial mobilization. It's about ramping up production of everything from artillery shells and drones to sophisticated air defense systems. We've all seen how ammunition shortages can impact the battlefield. This phase is designed to fix that problem for the long term. The goal is for Ukraine and its allies to build a material advantage over Russia. This means not only matching but surpassing Russia's production capabilities, ensuring Ukrainian forces have the tools they need not just to defend, but to eventually go on the offensive. It's a race against time, a contest of industrial will. Now let's talk about the second phase, planned for 2025. With the defensive line held and the industrial base churning out equipment, the focus shifts. This phase is all about building up. The plan envisions Ukraine spending 2025 systematically degrading Russia's military power from a distance. How? Through a significantly expanded and more powerful long-range strike capability. We're talking about advanced missiles, long-range drones, and superior air power. The targets wouldn't just be on the front lines, but deep inside Russian-occupied territory and even within Russia itself. The objective is to cripple Russia's command centers, logistical hubs, and key economic assets that fuel the war machine. By taking the fight to them, Ukraine aims to weaken Russia's ability to sustain its forces in the field, making their positions increasingly untenable. This air and long-range campaign is the essential preparatory step before any major ground offensive can be considered. This build-up phase in 2025 isn't just about striking from afar. It's also about preparing the ground forces for what comes next. While the air and missile campaign is underway, Ukraine will be busy training and equipping new armored and mechanized brigades. This is where the Western tanks, infantry fighting vehicles, and artillery systems come into play. But it's not just about having the gear, it's about mastering it. Troops will undergo intensive training in combined arms operations, the complex choreography of using infantry, armor, artillery, and air power together to achieve a breakthrough. This period is dedicated to forging a modern NATO standard fighting force capable of conducting large-scale offensive maneuvers. The idea is to create a force that is qualitatively superior to its Russian counterpart, ready to exploit the weaknesses created by the long-range strike campaign. Finally, we arrive at the third and decisive phase, projected for 2026. This is the culmination of all the previous efforts, breaking through. If the first two phases are successful, by 2026, Russia's forces will be degraded, their logistics in tatters and their morale low. Ukraine, on the other hand, will possess a well-equipped, well-trained, and highly motivated force with a material advantage. This is the moment for the decisive ground offensive. The plan suggests that Ukraine could then launch a concentrated attack, potentially in a single critical direction to punch through the Russian lines. The goal wouldn't be to retake every single village one by one, but to achieve a strategic breakthrough that shatters the integrity of the Russian front. A successful operation of this scale could lead to the collapse of a large portion of the Russian forces in Ukraine. The ultimate aim of this 2026 breakthrough is to inflict a defeat so significant that the Kremlin is forced to the negotiating table on Ukraine's terms. It is about creating a situation where continuing the fight is no longer a viable option for Moscow. By liberating a substantial amount of territory and demonstrating overwhelming military superiority, Ukraine would be in a position of strength to dictate the conditions for a just and lasting peace. This victory would not just be a military one, but a political one, proving that aggression does not pay and securing Ukraine's sovereignty for generations to come. This is the endgame this strategy envisions. Of course, this entire plan hinges on several massive ifs. The most significant is the sustained and predictable support from Ukraine's international partners. The strategy is entirely dependent on the West providing the necessary financial aid, military hardware, and technological support consistently over the next 2 years. Any wavering or delays in this support could derail the entire timeline. Political changes in partner countries, shifting priorities, or war fatigue are all real risks that could undermine the plan. Without the tools to fight, even the bravest soldiers can't succeed. The report makes it clear, Western commitment is not just a helpful addition. It is the cornerstone of this entire strategy. Another major variable is Russia's own actions and adaptations. The Kremlin is not a static player in this conflict. They are learning, adapting their tactics, and trying to ramp up their own defense industry. Russia will undoubtedly try to disrupt Ukraine's plans at every turn. They could launch their own major offensives to preempt a Ukrainian buildup, or find new ways to circumvent sanctions and procure advanced components for their weapons. The success of Ukraine's strategy will depend on its ability to stay one step ahead, to innovate faster, and to counter Russia's moves effectively. This is a dynamic contest, and Russia's capacity to regenerate its forces and sustain its own war effort remains a significant unknown. In conclusion, this three-phase strategy provides a clear and logical, albeit challenging, pathway for Ukraine to achieve victory. It moves from holding on in 2024 to building up power in 2025, and finally to breaking through for a decisive result in 2026. It's an ambitious plan that requires immense sacrifice from Ukraine and unwavering, long-term commitment from its allies. It emphasizes that there are no quick fixes or shortcuts. Victory will be the result of a deliberate, sustained, and coordinated effort over several years. While the path is fraught with risks and uncertainties, this strategy offers a coherent vision for how Ukraine can not only survive but ultimately prevail, securing its freedom and shaping its own destiny. What do you think about this long-term plan? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you found this analysis insightful, please consider subscribing for more deep dives into global events.